Welcome back to the Dog and Pony Show. Today we're going to talk about the ACC and the wins and losses of those teams and who we predict to be in the championship game there at the end. First team up, we're going to look at Boston College. I've got them going 4-8 overall, and their biggest win being against North Carolina, but they're going to finish 2-6 in the ACC.
Not even kind of the same here. I got them going 2-10 with 0 conference wins, so it's not looking very good for Boston College on my schedule.
Just so you guys know, we did not look at each other's, so we don't know how this turned out and if we have any similarities.
Not only that, but I did mine in like an hour, all 4 conferences. So there's a lot of brain rot dumped out on these papers.
California next. I got them going 4-8 overall, 3-5 in the conference, and their biggest win being at Pitt.
This one is a little bit closer. I have the Golden Bears going 4-8, but they're only going to win 2 games in the conference. I got them going 2-6. Unfortunately, they have to go on the road at Auburn, which is a guaranteed loss. Outside of that, they're going to beat Stanford.
Next up, we got Clemson. I've got Clemson going 9-3, 6-2 in conference. They're going to lose against Georgia first game, NC State, Florida State as well, and that is at Florida State. So their biggest win for me, South Carolina.
I have Clemson going 9-3 as well. They're going to go 7-1 in the conference, which is pretty amazing, honestly, considering how not so great they were last season. I also have them losing to Georgia. I'm not a homer. I just think Georgia's the team to beat this year. I do have them losing at Florida State as well. Have them losing to South Carolina at home.
Ooh, okay. Duke is up next. Got them going 4-8 on the season, 1-7 in conference. Their biggest win is the last one at Wake Forest.
There's more disparity here. I got them going 5-7, 1-7 in the conference. The Blue Devils, they kind of have it rough, man. As you will hear later on, I think Georgia Tech's going to be pretty good, but they have to play at Georgia Tech. Playing in Atlanta, it's not as easy as it used to be under Brent Key. I have Duke losing back-to-back games on the road at Georgia Tech and at home against Florida State. They're not really going to have a big win, in my opinion. I think that they're just going to be average.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, 3 of the 4 wins that I gave them are their non-con, and then like I said, 1 conference win. Their schedule is really tough, in my opinion.
Yeah, the only conference game that I have them winning is against North Carolina. It's because it's a home game.
Okay. Next up, we got Florida State. This one's probably going to be interesting. So I've got Florida State going 9-3, 6-2 in conference. They're going to lose at Miami, but they are going to beat Florida at the end of the season.
All right. Liking the difference. That's good. That's great things. So this one is pretty similar. I have Florida State going 8-4, 7-1 in the conference. I don't know, man. Florida, after what I watched my Dogs do to Florida State, I didn't think that they would play this well, but here we are. I have them losing at Georgia Tech. Have them losing at Miami. They're going to lose at Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame's going to be pretty good. They're still not in the conference, so we'll see if they even make it into the extended playoff. Don't know about that one. And I have Florida State losing at home to the Gators.
Ooh. Georgia Tech up next. Got them going 9-3. I think they're going to be pretty good. 6-2 in the conference. They're going to start out the year winning 7 in a row. And they're going to lose to Notre Dame at home. But like I said, in the end of the year, I got them losing their last 2 games to NC State and then at Florida. So they got to play a Thursday and then a Friday game back-to-back weeks. Got them going 6-2 in the conference.
The Yellow Jackets, hate them, but they're trending in the right direction. The Georgia Tech is going to go 9-3. And they're going to go 7-1 in the conference. Some high praise there for Georgia Tech. I have them losing on the road at Louisville. They're going to lose to Notre Dame at home. I think Notre Dame is going to be a pretty good team. And then to cap off the season, they're going to travel to Sanford Stadium and they're going to get skull-drugged by the Bulldogs, baby.
Yeah, I think that so too. Things are going to be riding high going into that game, having a really good season, and then it's not even going to be a game after halftime.
Yeah, there's so much hate renewed in that rivalry after the last season. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
For sure. Next up on our list, we got Louisville. I've got them going 6-6, 4-4 in the conference. Just kind of a back and forth kind of season. Go on a streak of winning, go on a streak of losing. I don't really have a lot on them. I just know that they got to replace a lot. They're just kind of right there in the middle for me.
I have them going 8-4 and 6-2 in the conference, but I don't really know anything about them. Last season, they made it to the ACC championship, and honestly, they probably should have won. I mean, Florida State was suffering. I think that they were on their 3rd string, and he got hurt, so then they had to bring in their 4th string, I believe. I don't know, man. The fact that they couldn't beat Florida State is kind of just surprising. I don't know what all they have to replace, but I have the Redbirds losing to Notre Dame. Notre Dame is not in the ACC. However, sure feels like it when you look at this paper, man. They are all over the place. Louisville losing to Notre Dame. Miami. Clemson finish off the season. They're going to lose strongly to Kentucky. Brock Vandagriff is going to lead the Wildcats to a big win at home on Lexington Field against the Cardinals.
I like that pick. Next up on our list, we got Miami, Florida. I got a friend of mine who's really going to drill me for this because he's been preaching them to me forever. And this year I'm going to have to agree with him. I've got them going 11-1, 7-1 in conference. Their only slip up at Georgia Tech.
Okay, this is pretty close here. I have the Hurricanes going 10-2. 7-1 in conference. I don't know, man. Miami feels like Oklahoma State to me sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think that Miami is going to start off the season with a loss in the swamp. However, they're going to rebound and they're going to have a great season right up until they travel to Atlanta against Tech. Those are two tough road games. But again, I have them going 7-1. We will see.
NC State, next up on our list. I got them going 9-3. If you remember, their quarterback is the transfer from Coastal Carolina, McCall.
Is it?
Yes.
So, okay, if I would have known that, this might have gone differently.
I think he's going to ball out. He's ready to prove himself. Obviously going now to a group of four, or Power 4 conference, I should say. He's got a lot to show for himself. I got them going 9-3. 6-2 in conference. They're going to lose to Tennessee and then end the year on a 2-game losing streak at Georgia Tech and at North Carolina.
We're not that far off. I have NC State going 6-6, 3-5 in the conference. I have the Wolfpack losing to Tennessee, Clemson, Syracuse. NC State has to travel to Cal. I don't know, man. That is a long way to travel. Cal isn't a good team, but I feel like they're going to drop that game. And then they're going to end the season on a 2-game skid. They got Georgia Tech and North Carolina back-to-back. Pretty tough atmosphere both places, so I'm just going to chalk it down as 2 losses.
I agree with you on that one. So I had to do some fidgeting because I realized I messed something up on North Carolina's. North Carolina's up next. I've got them going 6-6 on the year, 4-4 in conference. I don't really know what to think of them. Personally, I don't like Mac Brown. Boomer. I've got them going 6-6. They're just going to be there. And the upset on their season, they will be losing at home to James Madison.
You have the Tar Heels losing to the Dukes.
I do.
At home.
I do. James Madison's got a lot riding from last year.
Hot take. I like it. I don't even think that you know this, but North Carolina has a very, very special place in my heart. My cousin actually played for the Tar Heels. He was a center, or he was a lineman. Name's Cam Holland. Look him up. I got them going 9-3, 5-3 in the conference. Again, I grew up a Georgia fan, but North Carolina was my second team, so there's a little bit of love there. Definitely not a homer for them. They've had a rough spell lately. Mac Brown, he's not who he used to be. I don't think North Carolina is going to make a playoff run anytime soon. I don't think they're going to make a run at their conference championship. Hope the best for them, but it's looking pretty gray.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Mac Brown's kind of at the end of his tenure as a head coach, and honestly just needs to retire, especially with the way the landscape of college football is today.
I think that he doesn't really understand what it's like today. And to be fair, we don't.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's different. Nick Saban, greatest of all time, he retired. It's just a completely different landscape. It's weird. But with all that being said, again, I got them going 9-3 overall, 5-3 in the conference. They are going to lose to Duke, Georgia Tech, and Florida State.
Okay. Next up on our list, we got Pittsburgh. Got them going 3-9, 1-7 in conference. I think there's going to be a lot of slip-ups. I think they're going to get pummeled at West Virginia. They are going to be lucky to get out of there at 3-9.
I don't know anything about Pitt. Only thing that I know about Pitt is way back in the day, they beat Georgia for a national title in the 80s sometime, and they had Kenny Pickett as their quarterback. I don't know anything else about Pitt. I have Pitt going 7-5, 4-4 in the conference. I have them losing to West Virginia, and I think that the backyard brawl is going to be an absolute slaughter in favor of the Mountaineers. I think the Mountaineers are going to be pretty good, but we will talk about that when we are discussing the Big 12. I have Pitt also losing at North Carolina. Shout out Mac Brown. We just kind of hated on you a little bit, buddy, but you're going to win that game. I don't know if this is a hot take or not. I guess it doesn't really matter considering you have Pitt barely winning 3 games. They're going to lose at SMU.
Yeah.
They're going to lose to Clemson, lose to Louisville. They're going to have a really sad season.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that SMU because this is probably going to be a very hot take on my end. And I'm curious what you guys are going to think. and also what you're about to think. I have SMU going 11-1, 7-1 in conference.
Really? Interesting.
Their only loss will come against Florida State at home. I look at their schedule. I think, to me, it's really easy. And I say that because Louisville, I don't see them as a big threat. Stanford, terrible. Duke's going to be bad. Pitt, I think, is going to be bad. Boston College is going to be bad. Virginia, California are going to be bad. I don't know if SMU is going to be that good, but I think their schedule is that easy. Florida State's going to be their toughest one, and that's why they're going to lose. They got to play BYU on a Friday night, but I still think they'll be ready because they got a podunk in that second game, so they'll be well rested. So I've got them going 11-1, 7-1 in the conference.
You know, I don't really think it's a hot take necessarily. I know that they were okay last season. I don't know enough about them.
Yeah.
I have them going 6-6. I got them going 4-4 in the conference. I have them losing to BYU. I don't think BYU is going to be great, but I just feel like BYU is going to find a way to win that game. I also have SMU losing to TCU.
See, I'm the opposite. I got SMU, and I need to correct myself. The BYU game is a home game. So BYU's got to play them on a Friday night, travel.
In Texas.
Yeah, in Texas. But the SMU, TCU, like you mentioned, I've got SMU simply because they're the home team. I think TCU is going to be decent. They'll be okay. Not great. I think probably, 500 range. But I think I give the edge to SMU because they're at home.
Does SMU have home field advantage in any game?
Well,
I don't know anything about them.
I think so. That crowd, I remember watching them last year a little bit. They've got a good team.
So I know that they lost their center to OU.
Yeah.
I don't know how pivotal he was for the team.
Well, he was up for some awards. He was a great center. He was the top center in the conference before they left for the ACC. They still got some weapons around. They're going to be really good offensively. Defensively, I think they've got a pretty good returning team on that defense side of the ball. Honestly, I just look at that schedule, and I think it's really easy. I think the ACC kind of screwed up in giving a newcomer such an easy schedule.
Yeah.
And I think SMU is going to take advantage of that.
I've been spitting out losses the whole time, but I'm going to change it up a little bit for this one. I have SMU beating up on Nevada, Holy Cross, Duke, Pitt, Boston College, and to end the season at home against Cal. I think that's an easy way to cap off the season. I don't know enough about them. 6-6 seems good enough for me as someone in the new conference, but we'll see.
For sure. So now we unfortunately got to talk about Stanford.
They're not even an ACC team.
No, they're not. Honestly, I can't believe the ACC took them as a school.
They don't touch the Atlantic coast.
No, it just doesn't make sense. I can't even put the words because it doesn't make sense to me. So with that being said, I'm just going to jump into it. They're going to go 2-10 total, and they get 2 non-con wins, and they're going to go 0-8 in the conference.
Nice. Ooh, might have messed up here, but I'm going to roll with it anyway. I have Stanford going 3-9, 1-7 in the conference, and that one conference win is actually against SMU.
Oh.
We will see how this prediction plays out. I feel like we should have done a disclaimer at the very beginning of this. We didn't do a deep dive on all these teams. We don't know what their roster looks like. Before this, we didn't know what their schedule looked like. We don't know anything about the coaching staff. Nothing. This is just simply based off of history and feelings, obviously, right?
But so's the media polls, let's be honest. They look at that. They are obviously going to look at those rosters, but ultimately we saw the CBS Sports was released. Alabama at 5, I think, is really generous. Do I think they'll still be a good team? Sure. But I think they got it wrong, in my opinion. OU at 18, I think that's actually a pretty good spot.
I think it's good for them being a newcomer into the SEC because it's going to give them enough fire to want to prove everyone wrong. For sure. And that's important.
Yeah, and we said it before, and we'll talk about it later. OU's got a lot of poster board material to put up. But we'll go back into the ACC. We got Syracuse next. I got them going 8-4 and 4-4 in the conference. I could see them being a threat to some of these good teams for position in the ACC. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, I think 4-4 is pretty good for them, and I think they're going to be one of those teams that trends in the right direction. I don't know why. I just got this feeling they're going to build on last season's.
Well, I will tell you why. You probably don't know it, but you having that feeling is the correct way to feel. Syracuse head coach just came from Georgia.
That's right.
I wish I could remember his name. Fran Brown, straight out of Georgia, baby. He's not from there. He's actually going home to be the coach, right? But he was at Georgia. He won 2 national titles with us. Fran Brown is the head coach of the Orange. Syracuse, I got them going 9-3, 5-3 in the conference. I think that they're going to be pretty good, but they're going to lose to Georgia Tech. And a shocker, I have them losing to Pitt. I don't know why. I feel like Fran Brown is just going to have to grow a little bit. I feel like this is going to be one of those games that he is going to lose that he should win. Yeah. And it's going to make him a better coach. And then finally, I have them losing to Miami. Miami might be a decent football team this year, believe it or not.
I actually think really highly of Miami this year. I think them finally having a quarterback who is not only a good quarterback, but a dual threat quarterback.
Yeah.
I think that's been their problem as of late. And now that they finally got their guy, I think they're going to take advantage. And I've said it before, I also think the ACC is pretty weak this year. And in my opinion, out of the Power Four, it's my weakest conference this year.
Oh, yeah.
Next up, we got Virginia. I've got them going 4-8. 2-6 in the conference. They'll be lucky to get 2 wins in the conference. To me, I don't really see them going anywhere this year for me.
I got Virginia going 4-8, 1-7 in the conference. I don't really feel a need to say much more.
Yeah, Virginia Tech. I actually got them going 8-4 and 5-3 in the conference. They're one of those teams as well. I can see them having a decent season, and I can also see the opposite. I can also see them going 4-8 overall. They're just a bubble team.
Yeah, definitely. I have Virginia Tech going 8-4, 4-4 in the conference, and I think that Virginia Tech is going to beat up on an SEC team. Okay. They open at Vandy. Vandy Stadium is under construction. I think they only have like 10,000 seats or something. It's really, really sad. I think that the Commodores are going to get smacked by the Hokies.
Last but not least, we have Wake Forest in the ACC. Unfortunately, they're going to be pretty bad. I think got them going 3-9, 1-7 in the conference, and that only win coming at Stanford. They're going to win 2 non-con games, and they're going to get absolutely obliterated by Ole Miss in the non-con.
Yeah, Ole Miss. Look out for the Rebels. They might be a pretty good team. By the way, Jackson Dart did not tear his ACL yet, everyone. I got Wake Forest going 5-7, 4-4 in the conference. Believe it or not, I think that they're going to lose to UConn. Here's the weird thing, man. See, they play at UConn?
Yeah.
Oh, that might be something to watch for in the season.
That could be. I think I missed that.
I didn't even mark it. This one isn't marked.
Well, that's it for the ACC as overall rankings. So now the best part, probably want to see. I've got Miami and SMU playing in the title game for the ACC.
Okay.
But I have Miami winning the conference. As I stated earlier, I think SMU's there because their schedule is going to be pretty easy. I think Miami probably wins by 3 touchdowns.
Really? In the end, SMU is going to be 11-2. SMU in the playoffs?
Well,
with that record,
they could. My issue, and I can see based on how the committee has done it in the past, their strength of schedule is not going to be that good. As I stated earlier, I mean, let's go look back. Non-con, your toughest game is going to be BYU or TCU. They're going to lose the tough one. Home game at Florida State. But every other team after Florida State, in my opinion, is the bottom tier of the ACC. And I think they're going to beat up on those teams. I really do.
Yep.
It's the bottom tier. It's not just for the last couple of years. History of the ACC. So I think SMU is going to go in there and take care of business. I just think they're better than those teams. But if they were to play a tougher schedule, this would be a completely different conversation.
Does 11-2 SMU get in over a 9-3 SEC team who never sniffs the SEC championship game?
I'm going to say no. I think with what I was saying in your question leading up to it, I don't think their strength of schedule is going to get them in. Your best win is going to be TCU, BYU, and that's if they have a good season.
Hey, man, don't forget, TCU was just playing a national title game a couple years ago.
All of them are gone. I mean, Sonny Dykes has got that program. It's probably going to be a dumpster fire. I know that's digging into my Big 12, but I don't think they're going to have a good season, in my opinion. But what do you got for your title game?
Yeah, now over to me. I got Georgia Tech. I hate to admit it. I got Georgia Tech versus Miami. I have not thought of who is going to win this game until right now. I'm just going to pull the rabbit out of the hat. Georgia Tech.
Whoa.
I don't want Georgia Tech to win, but they have all of the key pieces.
They do, and something we've talked off air. You think they've got a good head coach at the helm?
I think they have a great head coach. I think that their head coach is great because of the hate that he has for the University of Georgia. He can channel the hate towards the Bulldogs as an in-state rival to make his team better. I think that using that hatred to drive his team to play better, to want to beat Georgia, who has been, Georgia's been dominant as of late. If he is trying to have his team emulate what Georgia is doing or be better, then they're going to have to prove it. And I feel like this is a good year for them to prove it. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah, and I just like to add, I think I had Georgia Tech going 6-2 in the conference. They won't make in my
of course
prediction in the title game, but I kind of agree. I think they've got the recipe to be successful. Haynes King being at quarterback, being the second year in that system. He played really well, and he was kind of under the radar. I think he's going to take the next step, and he's gonna play well. And that team, like you said, they've got the recipe, they've got the coach, they've got the culture. Now they just got to perform. So we'll see what happens.